year is 2005. The iPod is in fashion, emo and pop punk are in the forefront, life is good, and I was -3 years old. I wasn't born in that era, I just grew up with a Game Boy. However, I do know that licensed games were huge back then. Either cartoons, movies, books, celebrities, you name it, they probably had a notable licensed game. I mean, who wouldn't want to play as 50 Cent shooting down people from a fictional Middle Eastern type setting? Although most of these games were kind of awful. Most of them were cash grabs looking to capitalize on the success of the property, and the other 10% were the trash pack for 3DS. Wait, did I say most? I meant all of them. However, while not dying out for a few more years, one console marked the beginning of the decline of licensed games when on November 22nd, 2005, the Xbox 360 released to the public. On November 21st, 2005, Crazy Frog Racer released to the public. Crazy Frog is an artist who not only has one of the lowest rated albums of all time, but also made that one huge hit from the mid-2000s. What was it? Oh yeah, We Are the Champions. I'm sure you've heard Axel F. It's the one song where he says ding a lot. And while nowadays I don't really hate the song, this was like one of the most hated songs of all time at one point. Crazy Frog was originally created by Eric Werncrest as just a cute character to accompany a dumb sound effect. However, the company Jamba, better known as Jamsters in the US, liked the design so much they purchased the rights and renamed him Crazy Frog. I don't know when I'll get to talk about Jamsters, but I need to talk about this thing, man, so please excuse me for a minute. This was a ringtone service who was known for two things: creating weird CGI characters and songs to sell as ringtones, and scamming people. Some of these songs are fucking weird, man. You had Snuffle Bunny, Tiger Boo, Baby Voo Voo, which looks like Cocomelon but worse. You had Molly the Mole.
So yummy and so sweet, simply all.
This feels racist. Holy cow, you can get Family Guy ringtones for $10 a month? Maybe it's time we talk about something else. Where were we? That's right, Crazy Frog. After purchasing Crazy Frog, they kind of made a little song. I don't know if you know it. It's just a real little remix called Axel F. The video had 5 billion views. It's no wonder that not soon after they started milking this franchise for all that they could, and enter video games. Crazy Frog has 4 games, but I'll just be talking about Crazy Frog Racer 1 and 2, in case this video does well, so I can milk a video about LCD games and an art studio program. That still leaves us with 3 games though, 2 console games and a GBA port. So today, it's time to find out, is Crazy Frog Racer any good? Okay, so let me preface this by saying, I don't think any of these games will be good. If you have more than 2 brain cells, you'll see that these games are called Crazy Frog Racer. But I do want to answer a question. Whenever I hear about the worst racing games ever, this game and Eminem's Kart Racer get brought up a lot. But I want to see which one is definitively worse. Because while I do think Eminem's Kart Racing is one of the worst racing games of all time, I also think there's much lower you can go. So how does Crazy Frog Racer compare? Well, that was fucking bad. Okay, I want to start with the positives, because I think there are genuine positives. First off, this game looks pretty good. Shovelware games during the PS2 era look pretty awful. A lot of them just have this gross, blocky look that looks more fitting for the PS1 than the PS2. However, I think that Crazy Frog Racer actually looks competent. The racer and levels look pretty decent, the HUD has some charm to it and is easy to read, and even minute things like the frog dancing during the music mode. There was actually some effort put into this that I didn't expect. And also, speaking of the music, I didn't expect to say this, but Crazy Frog Racer, a game based off of one of the lowest rated albums of all time, has a pretty decent soundtrack. First off, I am in shock that Axel F is not in this game, but also none of the songs feature Crazy Frog himself, which is such a big relief. And the soundtrack itself is pretty decent D&B and jungle and Europop songs. They're nothing special, and some of them are pretty bad, but there's some good songs here. However, this is where the praise ends because oh my god, this game fucking sucks! First off, before we jump into a race, the Crazy Frog cast was pretty small up to this point, being comprised of 2 people, so they had to make some new characters. We got Crazy Frog, Girl, Astronaut, cool guy, robot, death, chef, and a ninja. Truly a star-studded cast. This is the Avengers of racing games. If I can't say anything about the actual game, it's that it's unique. I haven't played a racing game like this before. Let me just play a few seconds of a race and you'll see exactly what I mean. Do you see a problem? Do you see a problem? Do you see the fucking problem? This is, without a doubt, the fastest racing game I've ever played. And it's not fast in an, oh yeah, I'm fucking flying. It's more of an, ah! You're going so fast most of the time that you will fly off one end of the track and end up on the other half of the map. It is impossible to take turns in this game because you're going so fast all the time. 60 to almost 300 miles per hour in seconds. And speaking of the controls, my god, these are some of the worst controls I've ever felt in a racing game. You're constantly sliding all over the place and at full speed that leads you into fucking dying. There's also power-ups you get from collecting coins on the ground, but not only do a lot of them just not do anything, but you have to press the left bumper to cycle through them. And sometimes it just doesn't fucking work. Or you'll get stuck on one selection, forcing you to choose the speed power-up to make you go woohoo! Ah! And you know, for being a kart racer whose defining characteristics include being unique and having varied maps, the maps do sure fucking suck. Would you like Gross City? Or Bigger Gross City? And that's really all there is to say about this game. It's surprisingly, well, no, it's unsurprisingly barren. Who made this game? Who? Neko Entertainment was a game company from 1999 to 2017, whose biggest achievement was Charlie Angels on the PS2. That's all you need to know. This game is awful, but is it worse than Eminem's kart racing? I mean, this is literally unplayable, but I didn't want to kill myself as much playing it, so I suppose that gives it like 1/10 of a point above Eminem's kart racing. I feel like being known as the person who made this game is more embarrassing than one of those YouTubers whose fetishes get revealed on Twitter or in a video. Doorknobs! Overall, this game is pretty fucking awful. Like, really bad. But I think there's just a little bit of an edge to this game. Just a tiny nudge with it looking a little bit better, having like decent music in it and whatever, to give this a 1.5 out of 10. Alright, well that wasn't good, but maybe my luck will kick in with Crazy Frog Racer for the GBA. Welp! Okay, if I have anything to say about this, it's that it's technically pretty impressive for the GBA. It's obviously a Super Circuit clone, but even then there aren't that many 3D GBA games, so I'll give them props there too. And I was so close to looking past the obvious misspelling, because for the first 30 seconds or so, I was like, hold on, this might be decent. But this game has some baffling problems that I'm surprised even exist. First off, I will say, this game, unlike the PS2 counterpart, is, for the most part, playable. Also, it has a new cast of characters, including Punk Girl, Cute Boy, Races. Crazy Frog Racer GBA features 4 modes: Tournament, Checkpoint Rallier, which is just hitting portals to extend your time, Checkpoint Madness, which is the same thing except there's other racers on the road, and Last Man Standing. However, Tournament is the only game mode you can unlock maps in, so we'll start there. So, on a functional level, Crazy Frog Racer for the GBA is fine. It works, the maps look okay, the power-ups are fine, everything is just okay. However, starting with the characters, some of them are unplayable. The stats vary between characters heavily, but the big one is your handling. If you don't have basically maxed out handling, you cannot make these turns. Even with maxed out handling, your turn is so loose and takes so long that you'll end up crashing into walls left and right, especially since some of the turns it asks you to take are insanely sharp. This means that even though there's like 8 characters in this game, you can really only play as Dream Boy or Punk Girl. And then there's the power-ups. Outside of the few that just do nothing, the rest are your standard fare: shield, banana, mushroom, etc. but the big problem is the drop rate. The other racers are programmed to drive perfectly, which would be fine, you know, shove into them, shoot a rocket at them, speed up past them, the usual stuff, but you will never be faster than the player in front of you unless you use items, and the speed up and rockets are the rarest power-ups in the game. No joke, I had to replay a race 4 times because I didn't get a single rocket or speed up and ended up failing. And from what I can tell, the items aren't based on position in the race either, so you can be in first place and get 5 speed ups in a row, and you can be in last place and all you get is fucking oil spills. It's all random. Plus, if you do get a speed power up, make sure not to use it till the end of the race because your character will glitch out in the next race and will actually break the game. Like, what the hell is happening here? The controls aren't great and the power-ups suck, but it's still playable. The maps do look pretty good, all things considered, and the races are so short that restarting them isn't that big of a deal. Sadly though, as a running theme I suppose, there's not much to talk about with this game. So I'm giving Crazy Frog Racer GBA a 3.5 out of 10. Probably the best we'll be getting today. Alright, appears we only have one more game. Guess I'll jump to it. What the fuck was that?
Bing ding ding ring ring ding bing ding 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 ba ding ding ring 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 ring. I have a DS game, bitch.
I know, and it's about drawing, and this is a racing game video.
No, I mean Crazy Frog Racer on the DS.
I could have been a musician, and instead Crazy Frog is in my room telling me to play a DS game.
Man, suck my ding 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 dick, bitch.
I need to get on some meds.
Ding 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 ding.
You want to know something I love about the DS? I love that it's able to imitate console games while still being its own thing. Most handheld consoles before the DS would have counterparts to console games, but they would be completely different from the console version. And this is cool nowadays because now there's basically 2 entirely different games from the same era, but as someone who grew up with the DS, being able to play Tony Hawk American Wasteland and then jump into Skateland on the DS and basically play a stripped down version of the same game was so cool.
I think I spoke too soon.
I've done it. I have found a worse racing game than Eminem's Kart Racer. I have found a new worst racing game of all time. And all it took was a stupid little frog that goes ba-ding ding 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 die! This is not a game. This is a punishment. You give this to your kid when they just pissed in the sink and started screaming fuck around the room because they ate too many Kit Kats. You go sit here and don't stop until you've beaten this game and they will cry. Crazy Frog Racer DS is one of the slowest, most boring, uncreative slogs of a game I've ever seen. The only thing it does better than the console game is be at the very least winnable, but it goes in the opposite direction and makes it impossible to lose. Races go on for 5 minutes with you being in the lead and nothing going on while the most mind-numbing music I've heard from a DS starts blasting your eardrums. There is literally zero passion or even care in this game, man. I will jump off ramps and reset even though I literally landed. It's literally broken. I don't know what to say. It looks atrocious. It's the slowest racing game I've ever played. All the CPU move at half the speed you do, so you can't lose. The power-ups still do nothing. I would say it's impressive they ported the PS2 game to the DS this well, but a downgraded version of an already abysmal game is not impressive at all. Overall, this game is an embarrassment to the DS. It's an embarrassment to racing games, and it's an embarrassment to video games. What a fucking travesty. Crazy Frog Racer DS gets a 0 out of 10. Alright, well, that's 3 down, which means there's only one last game to go. Crazy Frog Racer Arcade for the PS2. The final game in the Crazy Frog Racer series. Did they at least go out with a bang?
We are so back.
Already I have a positive. The production values for this game jumped up heavily. The menus have way more personality to them and they could afford to license music for once. There's also more characters and a few mini games I'll get to. So far, not so bad. I know it might sound crazy, but what if I told you this game is actually okay? Now I know what you might be thinking. Oh man, this guy is crazy. You're in crazy town. Well, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. First things first, the game is still way too fast. Don't get me wrong. But they slowed it down just enough to where most of the tracks are actually playable. Sure, a few of the tracks still suck, like the second ice level, but this turns the game from literally unbeatable to actually winnable real quick. Speaking of the tracks, they have way more personality too. Instead of gray, desolate cities, we get vibrant tracks based off of some of the music videos, which fits much better. Like the Football Cup in particular looks pretty good all things considered, even if the City Cup still looks... yeah. And the controls have improved. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of times you'll be hugging the wall just from how fast everything is, but the turning is much sharper and the game feels less floaty, leading to me finding the game slightly enjoyable? Even the AI seems to have some improvements, going from literally unstoppable to relatively competent, while still missing some turns or screwing up. Plus, the soundtrack is... well, I mean, at least it's actually Crazy Frog this time? That's not to say that this game is like all that good, however. This is still Crazy Frog Arcade Racer we're talking about. There's still glitches every 5 seconds, there's no warning for when you're gonna get hit by something, and the game is like an hour long. Plus, the biggest problem is the power-ups. While the first game had probably the worst controls regarding them, I like that you collected coins until you had enough to choose between a variety of them at once. If it was in a good game, it would add a dash of skill to the game, but in Crazy Frog Racer 2, you just get a random power-up every time you collect a coin, and they all suck! Once again, you barely get any speed power-ups, just like the GBA game. Half of these things do nothing, the rocket shoots 4 feet directly in front of you, then dies. Really only the blades dropped behind you are okay, and that's like the most boring power-up in any racing game. It makes it easier to just barely use power-ups at all, which is so lame for a kart racer. And also, as I said, some of the tracks are pretty bad. Like the second ice level that I got stuck in the roof in. It has so many sharp turns and it looks pretty boring all things considered. If you don't like the racing though, you can always come over to the beautiful mini games, all 2 of them. First off, we've got the banger, the classic Crazy Frog Dance, where you get to dance to your favorite Crazy Frog tunes, jump around as you hit buttons that aren't in sync with the music at all while you get to stare at a high-res image of Crazy Frog and remember that he has a penis. Then we get to the main show, Crazy Frog Pinball. Launch your frog into a horde of robots while you sit there and occasionally press A, and then press it again to hit another robot until the game randomly tells you, no, you can't do that anymore, and you lose by 1 robot. Together, these minigames are truly the pinnacle of gaming and the best thing to come out of the Crazy Frog franchise. Wait, these suck! Minus some pretty bad minigames, glitches, a few bad tracks, and a couple of other small issues, Crazy Frog Racer isn't that bad? I mean, it's not good, but I wouldn't call it the worst game ever, not by a long shot. It's got its charm, and while it has issues, it does at least a couple things to stand out, even if those couple things are...
I'm too sexy.
So in the end, it doesn't really matter. In the end, I'm gonna be giving Crazy Frog Racer a 4.5 out of 10. But, unfortunately, we've reached the end. There were some duds, and there were actually, you know what, every single video game was a dud. But there were some fun moments, and I'd love to talk about the other Crazy Frog games, but unfortunately, I need to go get therapy. So, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that